Point. Ed,
Yes.
thanks so much for
Yeah.
taking the time to speak with us.
Mm-hmm.
So I give the same spiel at the beginning of everything. I don't need to cover it all. We were just talking. We're doing a trip across the country just to try and raise awareness of the importance of independent venues, particularly in light of what happened during COVID. We're trying to raise a little bit of money for the National Independent Venues Foundation. And when we were asking around, we were actually asking around Nashville. I have to be honest, I'm ashamed to say I didn't know much about Johnson City. And as we were asking about Nashville, Chris Ford, who I think is a friend of yours, suggested you should really go to Johnson City and talk to Ed at the Down Home because that's a really iconic venue.
Right.
And I jumped online
Yeah.
and started looking at some of the history, and
Sure.
it is an iconic venue.
Yeah.
And I wanted to start by just asking you, I mean, it opened in '76.
It did.
You were there right from the beginning, right? I think, was it Joe Leach?
Joe Leach. I helped Joe Leach, and we were partners in the early days of getting the thing going.
Yeah. And what was the driver in Johnson City? Were the music venues, or were they just not the kind of venues that you
During that period of time, it would be hard to say what the situation around the country or this area. It was more of a few little performance places. There was one about an hour from here in Banner Elk or Boone. I forget what it's called. Not many. Not many places where it would be particular that you could hire the kind of folk, bluegrass, singer-songwriter kind of performer.
Okay.
So it was not really, wasn't that, it was just sort of an offshoot from coffee houses and then places that were presenting music but not in a tasteful way.
Yeah.
You know?
And you are a musician, right?
I am. And that's how we got this going.
Yeah.
By realizing we need a place where people come and listen or react.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is and we'll do some video of the room afterwards, but this, as a room, must be very comforting to both watch music in and to play in. It's a very nice, easy, comfortable room.
It is. It's all this is barnwood. It's really hard oak. It's hard to get a nail. If you want to put something up here, you got to be ready to really. You leave the nail in it once you get the nail in. Yeah. It's that's where whoever did that is like, that's good enough.
And it's a bit about you, Ed. You musician from a child.
I started playing when I was 12 years old, and my grandfather was an old-time fiddler, and down around Knoxville, spent a lot of time family reunions playing the guitar. My first guitar that I got was from my dad, and he and his brothers bought the guitar working tobacco down around the other side of Knoxville, and that was the 30s. They would play square dances. They would sometimes alternate the Saturday night with Roy Acuff, and I got that guitar. It had 3 strings on it, and then from that guitar, I started learning a few chords, but I already then started wanting an electric guitar.
Yeah.
And that's when my dad sat me down, and he said, you've got to learn G, C, and D and be able to change those things quick enough. You do that, then you can think about another guitar.
Yeah.
But that's the best guitar lesson I ever got.
Yeah.
Because if I would have just kept wandering and gotten off into, I need this, I need that. But the lesson really said, learn this, and from there, I put the time into it for it to mean something.
Yep.
And I'm very thankful for that guitar lesson. He handed me back the guitar, and that's the last time he played it. He said, I don't feel like working up my calluses anymore. You know? So from there, I've been playing music, writing music, and doing the whole spiel. But my friend Tank, that was his nickname, Joe Leach, we were playing a barbecue place, and 4 nights in the summer, and about middle of July, I started hearing a harmonica play. And then a couple of weeks later, then he was sitting on a stool with me and my guys, and we just became really good friends. Yeah. He was a Vietnam veteran. He's 5 years older than me. And there was another great coffee house on the campus of East Tennessee State It'd been going since the mid-'60s. Had people like Gene Ritchie and Mike Seeger,
Yeah.
all kinds of people. Great place. In some ways, this is a continuation from that coffee house to this performance place, and just having a place to come to where people come to honor whatever's on the stage.
Yeah.
It's always been the thing.
Yeah.
And you know what? Really, as the musicians started drifting in, everyone was hungry, needing this kind of place, this kind of support. And all this place, there's been many, many characters. And in those characters, they have perpetuated caring for the music, drinking and hanging out, and just the things you do to have a good time.
Yeah.
And so lots of good things have happened here.
It seems a real, like when I was researching the place on the internet, I even found, and I forget the name, one of your ex-employees had actually written a thesis.
Oh yeah.
On it, about how this venue became a hub for the community.
Oh yeah. Naturally, it became a hub. Anytime you put together a place for the reasons that we're here, people will gather.
Yeah.
Now, will enough people gather? Not necessarily.
Yeah.
So that's the struggle, is to getting people out, knowing that they have to get out and come in to support. That they can't. I mean, we've been here now 47 years.
Yeah.
People I'll see, I haven't been to Down Home. I love the Down Home. And I'm like going, you need to get your ass back into the Down Home.
Yeah.
I say it in a nice way, but it was a lot of people, I'm just so busy, this and that, a lot of reasons, but we keep getting new people, and then we've got a real good stock of people who have been coming for a long time and really recognize what the place is and support it.
Yeah.
A lot of people met their mate here.
Yeah.
A lot of people. Jerry Douglas, great dobro player.
Yeah.
His wife worked the bar. He met her when he was playing with the Country Gentlemen.
Yeah. And
then later on, they became married, and lots of things.
There's something really special about a venue like this as well. If you become a regular, and I think about a couple of places back in England where I lived, and in Chicago now, there are places that become these kind of iconic venues. But if you pick a place and it's the place, so your regulars must come in here and be exposed to all kinds of music that they wouldn't necessarily be if this is just their place and they're going to come in regardless.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I mean, you get to see all different kinds of music.
Oh yeah, but we had in the early days, say the first 20 years, a lot of people who are pretty big names now in the Americana world.
Yeah.
We had a lot of the names in the blues world, and they have passed on.
Yeah.
Who would they be? Willie Dixon from Chicago, John Lee Hooker, Clarence Gatemouth Brown.
They all played here.
Yeah. Coco Taylor, Queen Ida, Ronnie Earl, Duke Robillard. The list goes on and on.
Yeah.
This was the place. We nurtured these people and gave them a good place to play, and they made, Newgrass Revival. They played here forever.
Yeah.
Some of those folks come back and going, hey, I want to come back to support the club.
Yeah.
Because they're playing bigger seat rooms. Alison Krauss. I don't know who all.
Yeah, you had, I was looking and you had one of my favorites ever, which was Townes Van Zandt.
Oh yeah, I was just going to say, there's a great live record. I think Germany put it out on Townes, and it's live from here.
Yeah.
And then Guy and Townes, they played here a lot. Jesse Winchester. All kinds of great songwriters.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that back in about 90, I was on this record label called Sugar Hill.
Yeah.
And we did a record. Oh, and then me and my singing partner, we sang on Jerry Douglas's Slide Rule record. All of that was going on, but Billboard and all of those different things, Bluegrass Unlimited, they didn't know how to call the music or where to put it or to try to get some kind of momentum going.
Yeah.
And that's about the mid-90s, something like that is where they came up with the Americana term.
Yeah, that kind of.
Now,
yeah.
what is it now? I'm not so sure that anyone really knows.
No, I think it encompasses a lot now, it seems.
It does, and it also excludes a lot as well.
Yeah.
In the support.
And you said something there that made me think, you nurtured these musicians, and that was part of the driver for this trip, and to try and, we're not a huge website, right, but to do what we can to try and raise a bit of awareness and some money, hopefully, for the National Independent Venues Foundation, but raise awareness and come to some of these venues, because the driver, I'm trying not to say what I've said in the other interviews already, but it's important. Like during COVID, I spoke for the website, I did an interview with Audrey Fix-Schaefer at Neva.
Okay.
And she told me, during that interview, she said 85% of the membership of Neva are telling us that they'll likely go out of business without federal assistance. And that kind of terrified me, because I'm like, these venues are where the next generation of musicians are going to come from.
Yes, I'm very thankful to Neva, because they were right there hands-on working with the legislators to try to make sure the shuttered venue business, all of that, it helped us. I was in a good position because I own the building, and we've been here so long. Owning the building was a key to not having to pay rent, all that stuff.
That must have been a big help.
We were closed for 15 months, then opened up for a few, and then that second wave came, and then we were closed up for another 2 or 3. And the thing about the Down Home, I play music. Anyone that's worked here, they've done carpentry, they do their other job. I had a partner, and for the longest time, he was program director to the NPR station.
Okay.
So we've never relied on this place for our well-being. This is for our well-being, for our heart and soul, because what we're doing here is caring for this and not worrying too much, even though the bills have to be paid. So it's sort of me now, making sure that that all the taxes are paid and all that stuff. And it's just, I've got a song called The Down Home, which is about 12 verses. But in a lot of those verses, it kind of encapsulates a few different parts of this. It's not easy to write about something like this. But you'll have to check out the song.
I'll definitely check out the song. We'll maybe put that song on. But also, I think, and the other thing we're talking to the owners, and I came in here, you were in here as well, doing a bit of a spruce up and clean. I mean, owning a venue like this it's a lot of work, and you.
Yes, and also too, anytime you can do a few things yourself, saves a little bit of money. I don't mind trying to hire someone and give them some money, but sometimes it's just easy enough just to sweep up and do it yourself a little bit. My partner and me, Tank, I was mostly his partner. Through the money that he was getting in disability, is how we bought the lumber. It's how we did this. I brought a little PA system. It was pretty rinky-dink, but it worked. But we started laying down the floor in a 45-degree angle. And we got a carpenter who just happened to be walking by. He wasn't being a carpenter because mostly he was spending his days drinking. But we go, hey, how do we get started on this 45-degree angle? And he got us started on the angle. And then a few weeks later, people are driving by at the red light going, what are you all doing? We're building a music venue where people come and listen to music. Oh, cool. Hey, I can do this. Hey, I can do that. Well, come on. Before long, we had 20 people in here. Doing everything. And that was beautiful.
And that's a community doing it.
That's community and people coming in and doing what they know that they can do. A lot of carpenters came in going, and they, put a lot of this wood up and all that stuff.
I love that.
I do too.
I love
so
that.
There was sawdust on the floor still on June 18, 1976, and the first band we had was the Red Clay Ramblers from Chapel Hill. They peeked their head around the door going, are we playing here tonight? Come on back in a few hours. We'll be ready.
I think I read as well on that night you were scrambling to even get the license and everything, saying, can we open up tonight?
Place was packed.
And and that was just word of mouth? In terms of being
it's like, okay. Then a big, the Sunday paper had a big article on, new club, whatever. And
then it just
it's just been going.
It's amazing. I mean, you mentioned during lockdown and everything, this place is for your mental well-being as well as anything.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, I mean, during lockdown, as a music fan, it was, I mean, 18 months, and particularly with what we do, we're at live music all the time because the website covers live music, and I do play music as well a little bit myself. And
good.
So we, but I remember at that 18 months, there, like you say, a couple of false starts. We went and watched some music in a bar where everything was spaced out. It was just weird.
Yeah.
And then we went on a trip to Austin, Texas, and happenstance as we went through, Lucas Nelson was doing a warm-up show for his tour, and it was at Antone's, which is another place we're covering. And we went in there that night, and that was the first live show for 18 months for me. And I don't mind admitting it on camera a little bit. He was finishing the show with, he does that song that Paul Simon won a cover, Diamonds in the Soles of Our Shoes.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
And I was stood in the middle of the room, and I think I was probably like had tears in my eyes. I just missed live music so much. But it kind of spoke to me in terms of how much it means to the fans as well, right? Because it's great to have a place for the musicians to play, but for the people who can come to these places, and particularly this, like, I love what you've said about it in terms of the community all chipping in to build it as well. I think that's an amazing thing.
Yeah, and through the years, different people have stepped up to go, well, I can help you fix the hinge on the door. I can do this. And through those years, you know, it's a funny thing. We've been open for a long time. It's a funny dynamic these days. Very funny dynamic with who's out there outside these walls who's able to help.
Yeah.
Two people who are carpenters who've helped us. It's not that they've gotten old, but they've gotten older, and they've been being carpenters for a long time, and they're a little bit broke down and not able to do as much.
Yeah.
It's not like they've become ancient, but it's like, shit, I can't climb that ladder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Damn, my back is like bad. So it's a really funny time. Also, too, it's a funny time of getting people excited to work.
Yeah.
It's funny time.
Yeah, it is. I know what you mean. And I think it's a time when, if people really appreciate live music and what it brings to their life, it's a time for them to get out and go to their local venue and you know, spend some money there, you know, buy a ticket, buy some merch from the artists, because they suffered through that as well. I mean, and everyone got creative during that lockdown period. I know. We were talking to Kathy in Cleveland, and you know, they were selling T-shirts. They did some parking lot shows, things like that.
We did a couple of we did 2 shows in the local mall parking lot, and it was called For the Love of the Down Home.
Yeah.
And we had the Steel Drivers the first show.
They're an awesome band.
And it was in November. Happened to be beautiful weather. It's like a summer day in November. It's like, whoa. 125 a car, which is not much.
No.
And we had a lot of cars.
Yeah.
And it was good support. And you know, so what's the job now? We're kind of getting a little distance. Still got to be careful. Still, the job is word of mouth is the most powerful thing, and then kind of working the other tools that we have in the social media world.
Yeah.
And it is just totally, one thing that Tank and me always said is that we will get up and stand and introduce the act.
Yeah.
I had been playing a little bit, and I lived in Boston for a while. I went to this great club called Passim.
Yeah.
I went there a lot. And the guy who had been running it for a long time, Bob Donlin, he would come to the side in his big, thick New England accent. All right, everybody, you know, blah, blah. Yeah, now welcome, so-and-so. That's cool. I loved it. But another club that I loved early on, before just out of high school, was the Exit Inn in Nashville.
Oh, yeah, I know that place. Yeah.
Oh, it's a great place. But it was a great place then.
Yeah.
Before it became just sort of a typical.
Yeah.
And there, the lights would go down, and then over the sound system, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Rye Cooter. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
But is that outreach to the people here, where you can go, okay, hey, thanks for coming. Hey, next weekend, so-and-so. Hey, 2 months from now, so-and-so.
Yeah.
Communication. And also trying to just get people to go, hey, no one's trying to be Mr. Show Business here. We're just trying to go and, hey, the beer is cold.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All of those things is what the Down Home is about. Keeping it fairly real and not, you know, there's ego here. You're looking at some of the ego. It's like, is he going to get up and talk some more? But sometimes anymore now, I'll get up and tell a little tidbit of some history.
Yeah.
A lot of times I like to kind of screw with people going, hey, was anyone here the night that a horse was in here? Because we had a horse that made it to the second pole.
Just walk through it.
Well, someone brought the horse in, and then we immediately got it out pretty soon after. And it's just stuff like that, you know, and it kind of, here lately I've been going, hey, if you've never been here before, this is how it's always looked.
Yeah.
And people go, oh, they have to think about that.
Yeah.
And if it's been a while since you've been here, it still looks the same.
Yeah.
And then I say, that's not easy to do.
Yeah.
It's not.
No.
You know, so I don't know. It's just different things that you just try to keep moving and connecting and just trying to let people know, hey, this is a good place if you want to be here.
Yeah.
It takes a special person who kind of goes, damn, this is a cool place.
Yeah.
You know?
This is, I mean, I haven't seen any music here. I already think it's a cool place just walking in.
Yeah.
Tell me, please, that someone behind the bar took the opportunity to do the why the long face joke when the horse walked up to the bar.
Yeah. Well, years ago, the only thing that's changed is that bar used to be there. When that horse came through, the bar was right there. And this was the same size. This was the size of the room before a little bit got knocked out for more, for a green room and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah.
So I wanted to, just a couple of quick final questions.
Yeah.
So, well, I guess in the thing, so there are music groups here, right? I know you teach.
Yeah, I teach in really one of the first programs that you can major in bluegrass music. It's at East Tennessee State University, the Bluegrass Old Time Country Music program. And for many years now, I've been showing up for songwriting.
Yeah.
I do that, do a little teaching this and that, and then the university will come here, and there's 42 bands in that program.
Okay.
So at the end of each semester, they spend a week here playing, five bands a night.
Awesome.
It's cool.
Yeah, that's really good. So some people,
what it is they know the history here, and they go, I'm going to stand on the same stage as Townes or Allison, and it means something.
Yeah.
It means something to me. Jerry Douglas, he played here a couple of years ago. And I was hanging out with him back in the room. He goes, God damn it! I get nervous at two places, Carnegie Hall and the Down Home. I'm going, oh yeah. He said, no, I'm not. I'm serious.
That's nice.
And he was nervous.
Yeah.
Because he has history here.
Yeah.
And you get in here, and it doesn't matter the size of it. It's what you bring to it and what you've gotten from it.
I like it as well because if you're up here playing, you've got the audience right here.
You do.
And that's great. It's
You
it's a bit like that table setup reminds me of Legends Buddy Guys Club in Chicago, which is kept deliberately that way.
That's
like
great.
an old style blues club. You can't reserve a seat. You have to turn up early if you want to get a good seat at the front.
There you
and
go.
I love that kind of thing.
Everything's in transition, really. Down Home is sort of where we are. I just spent many days, I just got back yesterday, went to several different places in Nashville, and a really cool club called Skinny Dennis. Do I like any of them? I like them. Am I in love with them? No. Why? Because there's so much going on. The music is really loud. There's lots of reverb. There's the hipster. There's the disster.
Yeah.
And who knows what's any reason.
Yeah.
And the Station Inn lost its owner a few years ago, so it's in some kind of flux. They no longer really make sure the audience shuts the fuck up.
Yeah.
It's noisy.
That's frustrating.
Tourists come in, it's touristy.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm looking for the place that you've got, hey, you want to be in here? Well, behave.
Yeah. Have a conversation, and then when the music starts.
Well, we have on our table tent, hey, hold your conversation. Same with the exit in. hey, keep your conversation to a minimum.
Yeah.
Club Passim. There are many clubs that, Bluebird is another one, the shh kind of thing. It takes work. You can't just let any Joe come in here and take over your club.
Yeah.
You kind of have to go, I think, hold your conversation down.
Yeah.
And Doc Watson played here for 37 years, something like that, 38, every Christmas. And before Merle passed away, he played here 2 or 3 times a year. But there'd be someone talking. He'd go, hey, boys, I remember my first beer. Then I forget what he'd say if that one didn't work. It would get a little bit nastier.
Then it would get a bit hot.
And it's like, okay, thank you, Doc. But sometimes the performer won't do anything. And my feeling is that it's the performer's job sometimes, because they can be more in charge than the workers here, because they can go, hey man, this is a great place. Do you know there's not that many places that we get to go and it's so quiet and you're listening to everything? Or sometimes they'll go, golly, it's so quiet, we're not used to this. But then there's people just raising hell too in an appropriate way.
But isn't it amazing when someone comes on stage? I actually, last year, and we're going to Florence, Alabama.
Oh, cool.
A couple of stops on. And we'd actually arranged this trip so that we could still go. We've been to every one of Jason Isbell's Shoals Fest festivals. And last year we were there, and one of my favourite songwriters ever, I think, do you know John Morland?
Oh, yeah, John Morland.
John Morland, sorry, it's my accent.
No, good, I love it.
So John came on at that festival, and it was unbelievable. Just everything about it, like the sun was setting, but it was a festival, right? People are chat. He came on stage. You know what he's like when he plays live. He doesn't really say much at all. He came on and he started playing. It was like, just great. Everybody was mesmerized, and it's really special when that happens. It is.
We have a lot of up and coming, but generally everyone knows they know why they're here. Sometimes you get someone who's not been here before. They don't mean to talk loud, but all of a sudden you can go, I'll go over to them and say, hey, I can hear your conversation all the way across the room. Kind of hold it down a little bit. And try to be, nice and give people a chance. Oh, I'm sorry. And then other people, I didn't know the song's left.
Okay, that's it.
Hey, our 10th anniversary, we had Buckwheat Zydeco. Okay. The 10th anniversary. The floor moved, because pretty much 99% of people were in here moving on their feet, dancing by their chair, all that stuff. So, yes, everything's respectful, but also interactive to go, hey, let's. We've had some great rock and roll shows in Zydeco and everything in here. It's a juke joint. Webb Wilder calls us the cleanest nightclub in America. Because we are pretty clean. And we're also like second cousins to like the Station Inn. Station Inn opened in '74, and we opened in '76. Not in the place they are now. That was in the '80s. But
had you been in Station Inn? So did you have an idea from there?
I hadn't been in the Station Inn until late '70s. Or early '80s when it moved to where 12th Avenue now. I'd been to Nashville a bunch. There was a place called the Bluegrass Inn, and I kind of had wandered in there. But this place was modeled after, the spirit was modeled after, like I say, someone getting on the stage, introducing, having a great place to come play. So that would be like Passim, which before Passim was Club 47. Which is where all the folks did in Cambridge in the 60s. I don't know if it was something before that. There's a really great musician and producer. His name's Jim Rooney. Okay. He lives up in, where's he live? New Hampshire or Vermont. I met him a few years ago, and we became friends because he's always played music. Really good musician, good songwriter. He came to Nashville and worked with Jack Clement, produced Iris DeMent, Nancy Griffith, John Prine, blah, 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 blah. He played here one night with Sean Camp, and I introduced him going, Jim and I became friends because he played music and booked a club. And I'm going, it's like, you can do this. You can play music and book a club. And then he got on stage and go, I booked Club 47 for 3 years. and became a basket case. Just think of the condition Ed Snodderly's in after being here for 45 years. And I went, oh, you're right. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
I loved it. Anyway.
So I guess to close out, I'm asking this question. This is the hard one, because I'm sure you're not going to be able to give one. Standout memories when you think of your time here?
Many.
Yeah.
Many. I've learned a lot being here. Playing music, I've learned a lot of things that I go out and play, and I know where I like to go and play. And I've learned a lot for my personal self. Many great nights here of people coming together and just, it's almost like a revival.
Yeah.
And people just being amazed. A really cool night, one of the coolest nights was Willie Dixon being here. So he stood there, the whole band went from there to the wall.
Yeah.
And he was basically preaching about peace.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're in the back room in the office and getting the money together to pay him, and he's just basically sitting right here, and I'm going, shit, man, here's Willie Dixon. And that was just really cool.
Yeah.
I've never gotten too many people's autograph. I got James Booker, a great piano player. I got his autograph at Tipitina's.
Yeah.
And then I got Willie Dixon to sign his Columbia record. And that's about all I wish we had an autograph book from the get-go.
Yeah, that would be.
Man, that would be cool.
You'd have quite the autograph book.
It would be quite the autograph book. But one final story.
Yeah.
Billy Joe Shaver played here a fair amount.
Yeah.
And it was a Sunday, and place was packed. But Billy Joe hadn't got here yet. And I knew he drove a white van.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of hanging out front with people out there smoking. It's like, oh, a white van. Here comes a white van. Here's Billy Joe. And I will go up, hey, and then someone rolls the window down. And then they're freaked out. It's like, oh, sorry, I thought you were in the band. Okay, finally he came, parked around here. Hey, sorry I'm late, boys. And so the band loaded in on the side, and we got some cables, DIs going. But Billy Joe just hung out there, started hugging everybody. Slowly, everybody in the club is out in the street, in the middle of the street, and he's hugging everybody, shaking everybody's hand. Yeah. So people drift in because we're ready for the sound. The lights went down, and he came in the side door and just came straight on the stage and said, and then he raised his hands and just went into his thing.
Nice.
And it was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. That's a very special night.
Yeah.
For the chaos and then the beauty of it. It was just after he got acquitted for shooting that guy in the head.
Oh, yeah.
And he came, I forget what all he said.
Yeah. So
But he had his
really
rap. You know, if you don't love Jesus, go to hell, all that stuff. That was great. But this was a little edge with the just being acquitted on shooting a guy in the head.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a lot of stories here.
Yeah, definitely. And I would encourage everyone to go and look at the history online. There's lots. When you come through Johnson City, come and see some music at the Down Home. Ed.
Thank you, Phil.